This is Ben Davison. Subscribe to Steve Nine.
So Tyson Fury has said that he is actually proud of Anthony Joshua in the sense of what it is that Joshua has achieved. Bearing in mind, Joshua, he only had 45 amateur fights and became an Olympic gold medalist. He's only had 23 fights as a professional and was a unified heavyweight champion of the world, not by defeating one guy to become a unified champion, but had to go around belt collecting. So all the belts that Joshua got, he did it one at a time. In only 23 fights, I mean, can you guys think of another heavyweight that has achieved more than what Joshua has in a very, very short period of time? Now, this is what Tyson Fury had to say about Anthony Joshua. First of all, starting off with him losing to Andy Ruiz Jr. So this is Tyson Fury's statement. You can only do your best in life. You can't please everybody. He tried his best. It wasn't good enough on the night. He didn't look right. He didn't look like he wanted to be there for whatever reason. But it was what it was. You can't do any better than your best. And if it's not good enough, then there's no shame in that. The shame is not doing it in the beginning, not following your dreams. But he has done. He has changed his stars. Started from the bottom, straight to the top. He has done very, very well. I'm proud of him as a person and as a sportsman. Ruiz is a top little fighter. Game as they come. It's a tough fight for anybody. People underestimate him because of the way he looks. You can't judge a book by its cover. Yes, I want to 100% fight Anthony Joshua. It's got to happen. I have 3 fights left in my contract. Deontay Wilder is next, and if Wilder wants it again, he can. Then I will fight the winner of Joshua and Ruiz, for sure. Tyson Fury's statement. Now, before we go too much further, yes, I know tomorrow Tyson Fury will probably come out and say Joshua is a big stiff idiot, he's no good, he's a bum, blah, blah, blah. So yes, Tyson Fury, he does change his mind depending on his mood for that particular day, okay? But ultimately, when you look at it, whether you're a hardcore Fury fan, whether you're an Anthony Joshua hater, when you look at it, 23 fights. He has achieved so much. And when people say that he's had an easy career, well, who is it that Joshua could have and should have fought that he didn't? You want to say Wilder? Well, Joshua tried to fight Wilder. Even offered him $100 million with a guaranteed 2-fight deal. With the first one being in America. Wilder turned it down. Plus many other times and that beforehand as well. Tyson Fury, you could say, okay, maybe he should have fought Tyson Fury. But again, when there was potentially an option, I don't know how realistic it was, with Tyson Fury coming back after 2.5, 3 years out, had Joshua took on Tyson Fury when Wilder did in Tyson Fury's 3rd comeback fight, and had he beaten Tyson Fury, what is it that people would have said? Well, you only beat Tyson Fury because you got Tyson Fury at such an early stage of his comeback. Tyson Fury wasn't the same fighter. You cherry-picked him, blah, 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 blah. So that's why Joshua didn't fight Tyson Fury at that point. He wanted Tyson Fury at his best. So if he was to defeat Tyson Fury, nobody can say, well, you cherry-picked Tyson Fury. You got Tyson Fury at the best time. So again, there's that one. So who else is there that Anthony Joshua should have or could have fought? There isn't anyone, is there? There just isn't. Now, Joshua, as I said, Olympic gold medalist. And look at his resume. It's fantastic. 23 fights. Okay, he's taken a loss. But as I said before, people who take a loss is because you've been stepping up. At some point, you are going to take a loss. And it's usually against a guy that you don't think is going to beat you. And that's what happened with Ruiz. Look at the history of it. Look at Lennox Lewis. Did anybody predict Oliver McCall or Hasim Rahman to defeat Lennox Lewis? No. And it goes on and on and on. So even before the Ruiz fight, I said on multiple occasions, don't underestimate Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz Jr. is potentially all wrong for Anthony Joshua. I expected Joshua to go through a very, very tough fight, but ultimately get the win, potentially on points. I didn't foresee happening what happened. People say that Anthony Joshua has got no chin. Are you kidding me? Alexander Povetkin knocks so many people out with that big left looping hook. Joshua took that big hook on 2 or 3 occasions from Povetkin. But yet he's got no chin. Vladimir Klitschko has 50 or 60 knockouts. Huge puncher. Yes, he did drop Anthony Joshua. But again, he took quite a few big punches off Klitschko and stood tall, even when he was gassed. Yes, he went life and death with him. Again, people like Wilder say that Anthony Joshua defeating Vladimir Klitschko ain't no big deal because Vladimir Klitschko was old and he was out for 18 months and what have you. As if Vladimir Klitschko has been sat on the sofa doing nothing and then just got up and went for Anthony Joshua. That ain't true, is it? Again, go back and watch the tapes. Deontay Wilder was picking Vladimir Klitschko to beat Anthony Joshua because Anthony Joshua wasn't ready for a Vladimir Klitschko. It was too early in his career. Go watch the tapes. Deontay Wilder openly said that he thought Vladimir Klitschko was going to defeat Anthony Joshua, but he wanted Joshua to win. Then suddenly Joshua wins. Oh, well, Klitschko, he was old, he was this, that, he was the other. But yeah, it was left up to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua to take out Vladimir Klitschko when Wilder had first refusal. He's managed by the same guy, Shelly Finkel, who also managed Vladimir Klitschko. That was an easy fight to make, but he didn't want to do it. Anthony Joshua took on an undefeated Dillian Whyte. Yes, he got rocked in that fight. Ultimately, he got the victory. Yes, Dillian Whyte, he was carrying a shoulder injury, but still, he got the victory against an undefeated Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte, who's currently number 1 in the WBC. Dillian Whyte, who is very, very blatantly avoided by Deontay Wilder with the help of the WBC. Joshua holds the one loss that Dillian Whyte has. Joshua took on undefeated at the time Charles Martin. Again, many people, including Lennox Lewis, again, go look at the tapes, were picking Charles Martin to potentially defeat Anthony Joshua because he's a tall fighter, unpredictable, we don't know too much about him, and he's southpaw. And the fact that this was Joshua's 16th professional fight. He shouldn't be in there for a world title. This is what people were saying at the time. Charles Martin, of course, yes, he did come over and he did sit down. Let's be honest, he did quit. But Joshua became a heavyweight world champion for the IBF in only his 16th professional fight. Again, people like Wilder say that Anthony Joshua's had an easy career. Really? Well, compare resumes. Even though Wilder's had 42 fights, let's compare resumes. Joshua's resume is far superior. It's not even a talking point. Again, Charles Martin, PBC fighter. A fight that Wilder could have had quite easily, but didn't do it. Why? Well, I'd love to have a unification against either Charles Martin or Tyson Fury, but I've got mandatory obligations, which happened to be Alexander Povetkin at the time. Then he ran away from Povetkin, even though Povetkin, yes, he did fail a PED test, but passed the B sample. And the A sample was in the legal limit, so the fight should have went ahead. So again, PBC fighters, very, very easy in-house fight to make. Wilder versus Charles Martin for unification was very, very easy to do, but Wilder didn't do it. Joshua not only did that, but he then unified again against another undefeated fighter in Joseph Parker. Not many people, including Wilder, were trying to fight Parker. Yes, they made Parker an offer of what was it, $2 million? $2 million for a unification. So again, that's another one for Anthony Joshua. He took on Alexander Povetkin. Only ever lost once before, and that was on points to Vladimir Klitschko. Joshua knocked him out. And as I said before, people say Joshua doesn't have a chin. Come on now. Come on now. Now, Tyson Fury, of course, he's saying that he's proud of him. I think all Brits should be proud of him. All boxing fans in the world should be proud of what it is that Anthony Joshua has done. Boxing is a hot topic because of Anthony Joshua. People weren't talking about boxing in the droves that they are now. People just weren't doing it, especially at heavyweight. It was a dead division for a lot of people. People just weren't watching heavyweight boxing. People only really talk about Wilder now because of Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury, he defeated Vladimir Klitschko, but he never took boxing to the next level. I don't know why the fans didn't gravitate to Tyson Fury at the time. I have no idea. Now they are, but back then they weren't. They just weren't. Tyson Fury couldn't sell a ticket for the rematch against Vladimir Klitschko in Manchester. He couldn't sell a ticket. So Anthony Joshua took boxing to a whole new dimension. So all these haters out there, especially Brits, you should not be hating on Anthony Joshua. For me, I support Joshua, Fury and Dillian Whyte. Ultimately, these guys fight each other. I'm going to take a side on the night. But I support all of them. I don't know why you wouldn't if you're British and you're a boxing fan. Again, do you think that Eddie Hearn would have got this DAZN deal if it wasn't for what Anthony Joshua achieved? Do you really think that he would have done? I'm not too sure that he would have done. But boxing wouldn't be the hot topic it is right now if it wasn't for Anthony Joshua. The money that fighters are getting paid now wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for Anthony Joshua. Of course, I'm talking heavyweight. So yeah, I think everybody should be proud of Anthony Joshua, whether you like him or whether you don't. You might be the biggest Fury fan in the world, but you should still be respecting what it is that Anthony Joshua has done in only 23 fights. Yes, he's taken a loss. Most fighters do, especially when you're stepping up. Most fighters do. At this stage, at 23 fights, even now, he should only really start to be look at who the other world champions are and making maybe a potential claim to fight one of the champions. But he's done this several fights ago. That's the truth of it, isn't it? Drop your thoughts below, click thumbs up, subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.